G'day, welcome back after the Christmas break. Hope you had a good new year. We've just finished painting the lower half of our 221. We're going to start putting the mudguards back on. Then once they're all on and the bolts are all in place, we'll keep painting the rest of it, the upper superstructure, ready for display in the museum.
With this side of the 221, we started with the exhaust. So we bolted this on and tacked that back corner on, and then this just feeds through this exhaust. Because we're not ever actually making it into a runner, we've just made a dummy exhaust pipe that pushes on and then feeds in through here and tacks on in this corner. So once that was put on, then we could put our mudguard on, just makes it a little bit easier. And then Daryl made these toolboxes on the back corner, which is pretty cool. And we've got our step and everything that finishes this mudguard off. Then we move on to the front. Daryl made these toolboxes too, so we fitted these on today. We've got a few more fixtures that we have to put on the mudguards to finish the vehicle off. Here we've got the headlights, we've got the Notex light there. These are fender guides, number plates. So also we've got this little flag pole holder. So these will get mounted on there. And that gets mounted on somewhere around there. Should finish the vehicle off really good, I think.
Meanwhile, Steve's been working on the differential for the StuG 3G.
I've got some parts installed into the differential. I've got the cross shaft and the pinion gear installed, but this is a test fit only because I'm reusing the old bearings and parts to get a feel of how the assembly goes of the differential so that I can practice with that, and then when it comes time to put it together with the brand new stuff, I'll know exactly the right way to put it all together. We also need to find a home for all of the differential parts, gears, install all of the bearings, fit the large reduction gears that go in the side of the transmission, clamp it all together with the side plates, the differential brake assemblies, and also the output pinions. Holding all of this together, all of the covered plates and things like that, we've got a huge collection of nuts and bolts and springs and washers and other stuff that also all has to go back into place and be cleaned up, checked and inspected. On this particular pallet here, we've got all of the internal parts of the differential. These gears fit inside this housing, has this shaft running in the middle, and it's all held together with this assembly, with the shaft that goes up through the center. So you can see that each one of these differential sub-assemblies has got a lot going on, and it's really important that this all goes back together in exactly the right order and that all of the clearances are right. Otherwise, first time you go to use it, we're going to have a terrible time. We've got this drive flange assembly here, which supports the large output gear, which is driven by the smaller gear, which is incorporated in the differential assembly. And all of that fits into the side of the housing of the differential. All the brand new bearings we have, some of them are single use only. So if you put the part on and it's in the wrong spot, you have to try and take it apart. We'll need to get another bearing for it because you sort of destroy the bearing trying to get it back off again. So everything has to go in order 100% correctly.
No pressure?
No pressure. It's something I always have in the back of my mind. I'm always interested in thinking about the people that designed the thing, that manufactured it, and immediately this thing is completely different in terms of its finish compared to the transmission. Like you would have seen the transmission's like a mechanical work of art with all the beautiful pieces and everything's finely finished and crafted, where this thing is a lot more rough and ready in the surface finish. So if you have a look at some of the imperfections in the casting, loose bits of metal, we've got a lot of holes, porosity in the casting. We've got leftover pieces of it's called casting flash. We've got oil holes that are very roughly finished. You can see these are all imperfections and voids in the casting, which is sort of being considered to be okay to use, but it's very highly unusual for a German manufactured piece of equipment. And I just sort of wonder who was actually working on it. See, here's a loose piece of casting flash, which has managed to hang on there for the last 80 odd years. So you can see that we've got a massive amount of work here to do. I think it's 3 months since we took the thing apart, maybe more than 3 months. So we've had Christmas, so a lot of beers have been consumed. So it's going to be quite a challenge to put this all back together again, because we don't have any technical drawings or diagrams on it. So we've just got to rely on photographs and measurements and also the video footage that we've taken before to help us to put it together. So there's going to be a lot of head scratching to get this thing back and working. Doing a test fit of the differential, removing this spacer shim, so I want to see how it fits without it.
I reckon it'll make more than you think.
It is, because every 5 thou of thickness change can have 7 thou difference in position or something or other, and that's quite a thick shim. If the surface is not clean, it may not fit up perfectly.
Come forward a bit more.
I put some special dye on the teeth of the gear, put it under some load, rotated the transmission and differential apart to have a look at the contact patch. It's actually worse.
It's worse.
Mm.
I thought that's supposed to sort of, that weird spot is supposed to be in the middle, isn't it?
It's a bit deceiving, right? But it's definitely got to be that way more.
Looks like it needs to go maybe 5 mil further in.
So you've got a very sharp line here, and you've got strong tooth contact here, but it tapers off very quickly, and we've got no tooth contact further up into here. So we should have a lot more tooth contact in here. If I tried to run it like this, it'll probably break, because only half the tooth is trying to support all the load. So by changing the thickness of the spacers and also changing the position of the pinion, we've got to try and move that contact patch so it's as close to the middle of the tooth as possible. And it's not too deep and it's not too high. I put a different size spacer in for the differential to the transmission, just to test to see what effect that has on the contact of the 2 pinion gears. So it's just testing and retesting, so when it comes to putting the thing back together with the brand new bearings and parts, that we've got it set where it should be.
So the differential is going in the forward direction, I'm guessing.
Okay, stop it there. So it looks great in the reverse direction,
We go backwards.
but not so good in the forward direction. In one direction it looks really good. I mean, that's almost perfect, I reckon.
Spot on, actually.
So what was the result of all of the messing around? You don't have to be an expert to see how there's a really nice sharp mark where you can see the contact of the two gears meshing together is well defined. It's at the edge of the gear. It's not too far into the bottom of the gear, and it extends across to the inside of the gear as well. I'm no expert, and I've never taken one of these things apart and put it back together again, but the contact of this looks pretty good, so we're confident that when it comes time to putting it all back together with the brand new parts, that it will go together properly, and it's going to be reliable as well too, because we don't want to drive the thing and have it break.
On the other side of the workshop, Graham is making steady progress with the Sabre CVRT.
If you were following along with the last Sabre video, this is the offending article. Pretty damn sure the crack started right on the edge of the keyway, which is not uncommon for a lot of vehicles actually. We're not entirely sure how on earth this thing drove itself in with this, but I'm guessing that because that's not a clean brake, there was just enough meat mushing together for it to actually turn the pump, and then eventually it machined itself smooth. As you can see, that's also discoloured, meaning it got very hot at some point. That's the oil pump shaft. This shaft powers neutral steer, I believe. It meshes with this one, does that stuff. You have your clutch drum, seal, bearing, snap ring or C-clip, a one-way clutch, the pulley drive for the fan, and the teeny tiny tail shaft that goes engine transmission. So you follow that all the way along, and this guy goes through everything and then eventually goes through there. Now we're going to try and send this down to the machine shop and have a new shaft made, because there's a little disagreement going on in Eastern Europe right at the moment, and it's made parts for these vehicles extremely difficult to get.
The older you get, I don't trust my eyes anymore, so I do a little centre punch.
Now we're getting to the business end of the final assembly of the 221 armoured car.
As you can see, just about finished. It's all prepped for painting in the morning, so we'll get a final coat of grey on it tomorrow. The only thing we're waiting for is some vintage trafficators to be fitted on here, but hopefully they arrive later today.
So we're just fitting all these pieces so we can get it into the museum, but we're not 100% finished yet. We've got a few things that we need to touch up paint-wise. So you can see like around the lip of the toolboxes and stuff in the inside that we'll have to just touch up that red primer. Yeah, so this is an original German key for opening all their vehicles. So you've got the different keys. That one's for like a big pointy looking bolt. This one goes in on a square and opens. So I've actually made this back opening. So I've just, instead of machining an actual slot for this to go into, we've just used a socket, something super simple to make and manufacture here. It just goes in and turns, and then you can pull. You can actually see on the inside. So it's just a little flap that locks in. So that's how that opened.
lift.
I'll hold the tip. Hold it. Back which way we go. One go in the half follow in. Go that way. Why do you have to make it so heavy, Jack? You know how a barrel works. What are you doing trying to go the other way?
Can't wait for season 4. What's Jess got to do next?
All we'll do is we'll put the bottle thing on the grill.
I can't see. I can't see.
Put it down. I'm in, are you in? Yes. Yeah. So we've got to pick up. Yeah, three? Oh.
Thanks, Steve.
Thanks, Steve.
You could have done it without it, mate. Wrong way, Daryl. You're supposed to face the other
Not
way.
when they're coming from behind, mate.
Supposed to go that way.
Nice original sight.
What about that? The wheel was obviously the other way around.
Lucky I care.
Right, so now that the 221 is in the museum, when it comes to me, then we'll look at markings for this particular vehicle. So what we're thinking about doing is marking up in Gross Deutschland markings. So essentially have the helmet on this side and the first company of the Krautschützen battalion on this side. So it's essentially a circle with a cross in it, another little extension out here with a number 1, number plate on the front. As we go around to the side, because they were part of a reconnaissance company, essentially have the Uhu owl emblem on either side. So it's just a little white owl that sits on this side here. As we come back to the back, because we're looking at about 1943, so we'll have the Balkenkreuz, so we'll have the larger one. So we'll have it in this position here. Number plates on either side. On the back grille, again, we'll have the larger Balkenkreuz. So we look at the where you put the key in to open the back door. Sort of want about a 1 inch marking either down, cross, and finishing off down the bottom as well. And then we'll finalise the other cross on the right rear of the vehicle. So that'll pretty much give us our markings for the Gross Deutschland division.